the City of Fergus Falls Council meeting. So we'll start this evening with an invocation with Pastor Tim Moulton of Calvary Chapel, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we gather to the City Council meeting. We seek your guidance and your blessings. Pray that we would have collaboration and wisdom and respect, Lord, in our discussions, and that decisions made would benefit our whole community. God, we thank you for our public servants in this community who keep our city thriving, including our mayor, city council members, city staff, and all the city work crews, such as those that are helping clear the snow, and we thank you, Lord, for them. We also lift up our brave police officers, our first responders, and firefighters. Ask that you keep them safe. We thank them for the work they do, their courage, and their dedication. We pray for the peace and prosperity of our city. We ask that you would bless our local businesses, schools, churches, nonprofits. We pray that you would help our community to thrive and enrich lives. We pray that the leaders of the city would serve with integrity, compassion, and wisdom. And as citizens, Lord, we would stay informed, engaged, and work together for the betterment of our community. And lastly, as we approach Christmas, we ask God that you'd help us to remember the hope and peace that the birth of Jesus brings, to give us a future and a hope. So may we look to Jesus as our ultimate example of compassion and service. May his love and truth inspire us to serve our community with kindness and humility. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Here.
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 We have a quorum. Before going into open forum, I was inspired by Lisa at the last council meeting in her festive outfit. As this is the last council meeting before the holidays, and it was extremely cold this weekend. I wanted something warm, and this is the closest I'll probably get to going to Hawaii, is wearing a shirt. So with that, we'll move on to open forum. If anybody has anything they wish to say that's not already on the agenda, please step forward to the lectern and state your name and the city in which you live.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, City staff. I apologize, I didn't wear any holiday
No.
entertainment today, so. But my message today is in regards to the holidays. As many of you know, I'm Lisa Workman. I'm the president of the Fergus Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. However, tonight I'm here on behalf of the Fergus Falls Events Committee to offer a resounding thank you. Just huge, heartfelt thank you to everyone on city staff for helping to make Saturday's Over the River Festival so successful. Your role was truly vital in transforming Fergus Falls into a winter wonderland. Of course, Public Works has been dealing with winter wonderland for a few weeks already, but isn't it beautiful? In spite of the frigid temperatures, the magical day united our community. With your help, it was a safe and festive day, thanks to your much on-site support. So much of that happened behind the scenes, ahead of schedule. You know, I saw crews out putting barricades and bleachers and things up in the cold weather. If only we could order warmer weather for these outdoor activities. But again, we're brave and hardy Minnesotans. I want to say a special thank you to our fearless leader, Chris Kahn, from the Events Committee. In addition to that, Clara Beck and Guy Taylor were instrumental members on the committee, serving out of their own time, of course, to help plan. And a big thank you to the many businesses and residents who braved the cold, making a day full of holiday memories. Now, while the Chamber's role was focused on the holiday shopping spree, the community did show some strong support for our local businesses in many big ways so far throughout the holiday season. In fact, you didn't just show up and shop. You guys secured our future. Like, the community has been so dedicated, and it's been so fun to see people walking downtown with their arms full of packages, just like a Hallmark movie. Our holiday shopping spree this year was phenomenal. We tallied more than 850 entries, staggering total of $15,000. I'll say that again. In a very short amount of time, since right before Thanksgiving till today, $215,000 spent at just the 40 participating businesses. So thank you to all of Fergus Falls for your dedication and commitment to keep your holiday dollars here in your hometown. It does make a difference. And folks are probably wondering, the prize winners will be announced on Tuesday. So we're giving away over $2,000 in prizes. So again, thank you for that. Shopping locally does make a difference. And I just want to express a heartfelt thank you to so many people who are making the holidays so fabulous here in our hometown. So thank you all, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Lisa.
I'm going to second that. This weekend was, we talked about this at one of the town hall
Could you state
meetings.
your name for the record?
Lori Mullen, Fergus Falls here. At one of the town hall meetings, we talked about how important festivals and events are in creating memories for the family and the children, and just creating community. So huge thanks to the Public Works, law enforcement, the firefighters that, got the streets blocked, took care of the fireworks and all of that. We had a new gig in town this weekend too, and that was we were able to bring in a team of Belgian horses, and I tell you, the kids, to see the size of those horses, their eyes light up. They get to be 18 hands tall and 2,700 pounds, and it's a great memory creating event for these kids. So thanks for all the work that the volunteers put in, and all the businesses that contributed money to make this event happen. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Laurie. Anyone else? If not, I would echo that it was, as you say, well supported, despite the cold, and the fireworks went off, and it was a clear night, so everybody got to see them. With that, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I think the only change that I have at the moment is to remove item number 8 from the consent agenda. If, with that, would somebody care to offer that approval of the agenda? Thank you, Jim. Would somebody care to second it?
Sure.
Thank you, Laurel. Roll call, please. Motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. The motion is approved. Public hearings. This evening we have a public hearing for the consideration of a tobacco license for Cloud Trading Inc., doing business as Smoke and Cloud. If one of you would care to step to the lectern, state your name and speak. Yeah, a little difference in height.
So, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Trevor Oliver from the law firm of Burns & Hanson, Golden Valley. I'm here with Islam El-Nahi, the principal owner of Cloud Trading, runs the Smoke and Cloud business, trying to get stood up at College Way in Lincoln, over in town. We're here, it's kind of a split reason. We're here on the denial of the 2026 tobacco license renewal, as I understand it. And there was the reason that the council acted on it back in the first meeting in November, and then there's the reason that was in the letter that we received from the city. So I want to try to address those separately. The first, it was just to catch up for the record. It appears that Smoke and Cloud was one of the 2026 renewals that the council approved in its consent agenda on October 20th, I believe. And that was contingent on getting some things like the background check done and making sure the payment went through. So this is the $100 license fee. My client wrote the check for that, and then somewhere between him writing the check and the check being processed, something happened with the account. My client then immediately contacted city staff as soon as he knew about it and made the payment through an online portal, and it was in the city's hands on October 30th. My complaint such as it is the consent agenda item you were given on November 2nd, or 3rd, I believe, only said that the payment had not gone through because of the problem with the account. It did not say that my client had actually given the city the money and it was in the city's hands at the time he made that decision. And so between the fact that the money was in the city's hands at the time that decision was made, and my client has invested approximately between future lease payments that he's committed to and build out and inventory, about $1.3 million into this business so far. It seems a little wasteful to kill it over a $100 payment being delayed by a couple days. And I would hope the city would consider that, again, as it relates to the action that you guys took on November 3rd. That's so far the record reason for the revocation of the license. We then received a letter advising us of our appeal rights, which stated that the problem with the license was a zoning review. And I think this is the issue with the 1,000-foot distance requirement that recently got added to the licensing ordinance for separation from places where children gather. And my issue with that, along with it not being the reason that the council actually voted to revoke the license, which is a substantial issue in itself, is the grandfathering status of licenses is not as clear-cut as it is with zoning, with land use, where, if you get in, you can keep doing that forever, whether a zoning ordinance got adopted brand new or whether there's been changes. It's a little less clear with licenses, but once you have a license, you do have a property interest in that license, and it can't just be taken away without, certainly without full due process and without basically good cause. And so while I would love to be able to point you directly on point to something about tobacco licenses, I can't. I can point you to some Supreme Court cases about liquor licenses, where the Supreme Court has found that grandfathering exists for folks who have existing liquor licenses, not even necessarily long-standing ones, just as long as you had the liquor license before the change in law went into effect, you are allowed to continue in your business. And again, that is recognizing that there's a due process right in these licenses and the investment that these businesses put in. Again, Mr. El-Nai has put in, or committed himself at least, to well over $1 million to this particular location. And the unique things about the tobacco business is the inventory he's bought for this can't be sold anywhere else. It can't even be moved across the city. There's all sorts of, really interesting, intricate tax reporting things that basically tie all that inventory to that location. So he is very committed to the location that he's in. The council approved the 26 renewal on October 20th. That new 1,000-foot requirement had not gone into effect. And then it's also incumbent when the city, I have a quibble with how the process has been described a little bit, about where there's a license approval and then there's this level of approval and then there's this level of approval. When the council votes to approve a license or a license renewal, what is being said is that the applicant has met our conditions. If there are things like the background check and things like that that are in the future, but to be determined by an outside body like the police department, that's fine. Make a contingent on that. But otherwise, the council is saying at the time that it votes, this applicant has met the conditions. And the 1,000-foot requirement, it's not a separate zoning issue. It is in the license ordinance. It is a condition of the license. So it's not even really a separate review. This is a condition of the license application that was stated that the council voted on. Now, again, some of this depends on how you view the timing. On October 20th, when this 26 renewal was voted on, that wasn't in effect. And my argument about due process and what I hope I prevail upon you for, as far as it's the investment and the commitment that was made not to pull the rug out from under a business owner on this basis. When they have their license, allow them to continue operating, allow them to get operating without applying that change after the fact. I believe that my client would be on solid ground, making the argument, if we had to make it elsewhere, that he had a due process right that would allow him to continue in business despite that change. Because of, he's been licensed, he got his first license in July of this year, and then this was the 26 renewal. Certainly, if there are questions about the business or what my client has done, he's here. I didn't intend to do all the talking, but that's how it's turned out. But he's certainly willing to answer any questions. He's tried throughout to do everything the city has asked of him to get open, and is certainly willing to do anything the city asks of him to open going into the future. So I would ask that the council consider what we've put forward and vote to basically reinstate my client's business license to operate in 2026. And certainly stand by for any questions that you may have.
Thank you. In order to discuss this, we probably should have a motion and a second made to approve the license, and then obviously after the discussion, then obviously we would vote on it, and obviously affirmative would be to issue the license, and obviously negative would be to deny the license. So if somebody would care to make that a resolution, sorry. If somebody would care to make that resolution.
I'll make that resolution. We owe it to this individual to have him talk and us discuss this process.
Thank you, Mike. Would somebody care to second it?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mark. Does anybody obviously have any questions?
I got a question. The reason we did this, we denied it, is because the check was not, was it written on a closed account? Not on a bad check, like a mistake, but on a closed account. And that was part of the discussion. And so that's kind of where and then I believe you made the money the next couple days later. It was good, or was it not?
It wasn't the same day. I can't
Okay. Yeah, that's, when we voted on it, that's what we voted, because it was a closed account. That's why I voted no. So that, whatever happened after that, I don't know.
Can I reply here?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. So this is Islam Laraki, present like Smoking Cloud. So actually regarding this issue, so we sent a check. The account was active at that time. We sent, but in the process, the account get closed for some reasons without let us know. And after that, on October 3rd, I called the city. Regarding like, is there any updates regarding our applications? And she told me like she sent it to a city council for denial because there is no payment. And I asked her, we've been communicating for almost 2 weeks every day regarding, and no one ever told us like there is no payment or there is issue with the payment or anything like that. And what I did, I asked if there is, I can come right away to the city council, walk in, give them the payment, or she referred me to a link to get it paid, and I paid right away at the same time, at the same day, and send her confirmations of payment at the same day. So as I was October 3rd, which is like 5 days before the city, October 3rd is my bad. And that was like 5 days before the city council. So.
Thank you. Clara, did you have anything that you wanted to add in terms of context? Or maybe Greta?
I'd love to hear from Clara, but before we get to Clara, I have just a little bit
Yep.
of clarification. As far as with the clarification, we're not discussing the 2025 licenses. In the city code, there needs to be a request for an appeal within 10 days after the denial. So we are well past the time for the 2025. The only issue that the council's taking up today is regarding the 2026 license. So I just want to clarify that a little bit, that the only issue that the council is deciding today is regarding that 2026 license. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
So to that end, Your Honor, let me jump off from where Greta just landed. The 2026 application before you was made after the last denial, so that's irrelevant to this conversation about the $100. And when that application was made, we sent to the applicant the ordinance that was in place at that time, which included the setbacks related to being located near a school. I think that's where Clara steps in. Clara made that review based on the most recent 2026 application and found that there was conflict with the city code. So maybe Clara can run from there.
Thank you, Andrew. I don't have much more to add other than, my review was based on the city code that was active at the time that I received the license application, and our city code now reads that no new or renewed license is given within 1,000 feet of a youth-oriented facility. So my review of that area of town included Lincoln School, which houses our preschool through first grade for the ISD 544 school district, as well as programs for younger kids. So to me, that fit the definition of a youth-oriented facility, and I made my recommendation to deny based on those facts.
Mrs. Beck, can you stay there a second? I didn't think I was so confused, but I'm not by you, but I'm confused by 25 and 26. I got to get it straight here. I need to know on October 20th, when the council approved something, were we approving 25 or 26? And then when he paid with, on the 26th, with a closed account, which was the issue, were we dealing with 25 or 26? And then when he paid on the 30th online, were we dealing 25 or 26? Just so I know for sure, because it's confusing me where we're at here.
Sure. The piece of that I can speak to is the review that I did was based on, I believe, a November application, November 6th, I think. So I'm going to turn it over to Greta.
And I do have a copy of the license application dated November 6th of 2025. So as to your question, the first that was granted was a 2025 request, subject to the 2025 rules. The second that was denied due to the check issue was also for 2025. Then this most recent one dated November 6th of 2025 was a 2026 tobacco license application. And so that's why this is the only question, is whether you're going to grant or not the 2026 application.
Did that help, Mike?
Probably going to confuse things a little bit.
Maybe very little.
If I may.
Yep.
I'm not here to mislead or lie to anybody. The reason I said what I said is I'm looking at the council minutes from October 20th of this year. And it says, motion approving the following 2026 licenses, contingent upon all proper documentation. And Smoke and Cloud is part of this, and part of that resolution. So that is why I said it was the 2026 licenses that were approved on October 20th, because that is what's in your minutes. That is what the resolution was that you voted on October 20th.
Sir,
So
can you hold right there? I need to know if that's
I do too.
accurate or
that
not. I
accurate?
need to know if that's accurate from staff. You're saying October 20th was the 2026 licenses, so I just need clarification.
Does anyone have, can we pull those minutes? Yeah.
We have no reason to dispute the minutes. However, I believe if we looked at the application that was submitted, it would be on 2025. It would have probably said 2025 application on the top. Greta, do you have that?
I'm trying to pull it up now.
And I guess to the other procedural point is, the reason, at least I understood that I got the letter stating a separate reason, was there is supposed to be a letter to the applicant saying your license has been turned down, you have this appeal period. Mr. Elneny did not get one in the wake of the November 3rd council action. That's why I assumed that the letter that we did respond to was one and the same, just with reasons changed. There still has to be something advising the applicant that something happened, especially for something that happens on a consent agenda where the applicant is not present. They do need to be notified.
Take me back to July 2025. Did you say that your applicant or your individual got a license for 2025 in July, or no, did he not?
He did. I do have a license certificate from either June or July.
Okay.
In that timeframe. June. I think there's some status issues there was an issue with getting the certificate of occupancy, where again, if I'm laying out my full position, I don't think that's a grounds for not giving a certificate of occupancy. That's not grounds for revoking the license. But as far as, what was stated in the license being in limbo, that is potentially the issue there. But he did get, the business did get a license in June, yes.
So maybe I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but why then in July 20th would he be going for a 2025 license again? It would have been a 2026 license. Is that correct or not?
So from what I understand is, he got the original license in June, which was a 2025. That was their first application. And that approval in June is what caused their lease to not have a contingency go into effect, commit them for their 7-year lease. And then they did the build out. His build out contractor said, we're not actually changing anything. We're just putting some things in place. Building department disagreed, and there was, in September there was some dispute about what to do about that. And so they haven't got a certificate of occupancy yet, as I understand. Trying to resolve those issues. Again, he's been trying to do everything that the city has asked of him to do, but that process did not get resolved. And obviously with these, the end of October, early November, things have kind of stopped.
So I'm not familiar with all of that. I'm going to turn to our city administrator, which Mr. Brem said not to put him on the spot, but I'm sure he's got a great explanation to where we're at.
Yeah, to that end, there was not any building permits that were pulled before any of the work was done. There was no plan review that was done. So our building department flagged that, said stop everything. You must follow this process. That took considerable time. I know to this day, there's still not a certificate of occupancy. There still has not been electrical inspections that the state have to do that have been done or scheduled. And we've had a number of issues related to the space, quite frankly, not following any process or the rules as it pertains to the building side of things. So because of that, and because the license approvals are contingent on the applicant meeting all of the viable or appropriate ordinances, the initial license was revoked, and that was what triggered the reapplication. Then we went down the road of payment out of a closed account, which the council decided was a fatal flaw, denied that license. The appeals process then, the time came and went as was discussed, and then the applicant reapplied most recently on November 6th.
The only question I have left then is, he says he made a payment on October 30th. Did we receive that payment, and would that payment go to that $100 from that closed account he didn't have or not?
Your Honor, I don't know the answer to that. I was not here that day. My understanding is that once it was determined that the account or the payment was paid from a closed account, that triggered bigger issues, as that's a criminal offense potentially. And then it was advised of us that we may or may not want to accept payment because the council should discuss the matter as to whether or not this individual should get a tobacco license, which then brought the issue back to the council.
I'm ready. Would you, two questions for you.
Sorry.
Would you acknowledge that your client possibly committed a crime by paying that closed account, by doing that closed account?
That is why I stood up. I've been a municipal prosecutor before. He wrote the check on an open account. At least this, my client, that's what my client says. He wrote the check on an open account. That would not be a crime. The account closing between the check being written and the check being processed is a different thing. That is not a crime.
Okay. My other question for you is, do you have a receipt or proof that he paid the city of Fergus Falls on October 30th?
Yes, we do. I didn't print that email, but my client does have it.
And staff instructed you to pay it on the 30th? Okay.
A question too. As far as that account being closed, how did that happen?
Do you even know?
Chase Bank, I remember Chase Bank, they closed our accounts without letting us know any kind of free. Yeah, I can say. So what happened when I wrote the check? So the account was current and open and working, and in between the process, they closed our account without giving us any reasons. And they don't inform us till I found out from bank statement, and then I have to open a new account with different bank, which we already opened. But the bank did not give us any reasons for why they closed our account.
So if I had over $1 million into a build and into inventory, I would think I'd want to know why that was closed and why aren't they telling you? That's what I don't understand.
So this is agreement between we can ask that question to the bank, but this is agreement between any business and the bank any bank can.
Can I just interrupt you just for a second? I'm the city attorney of Fergus Falls.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a warning here about the fact that this matter continues to be under criminal investigation.
Okay.
And, you should be cautioned about what you're saying here
Yes.
today, and I think you could look to your attorney, and I think your attorney would agree.
Okay.
So I'm giving you that caution. And some of these questions with this matter continuing to be under criminal investigation, maybe we'll learn more. But right now, it's sitting with law enforcement.
Okay.
Mr. Nicomo, I have a question for you. On October 30th, he paid the city for that 2025 license. Is he allowed to do that after what happened with the closed account?
I'm not sure how he paid it, other than I think he was given a link to make a payment. But that doesn't necessarily mean that was being applied towards, the delinquency on the account. He was pleading with Lynn, how do I make a payment to the city? Could have issued another check, could have done it electronically, but he chose to do it electronically. The question is are you going to accept an electronic payment as the city accepting the payment? When you know originally that there was a closed account, a payment on a closed account. At least that's the information that was provided to the bank. So that's why this information was brought forward to the council after the fact. That, sure, just because you make the payment after the fact, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you of the license. And the other thing you got to understand here is the ordinance that you passed applies to all licenses and renewals. So moving forward, this ordinance is going to be applied to any renewals that may occur. And your ordinance also speaks about the fact that issuance of a license is not a right, it's a privilege. And that specifically is stated within the ordinance, is that, it's taken on a case-by-case basis. The city can always change its mind down the road as it relates to a tobacco license. And you can change the rules too, is what you did. And I differ in opinion with council on grandfathering in as it relates to a tobacco license. So, as it sits here, again, I think the application that you have before you is the 2026 application. And the question is does it meet with our ordinance?
It is, unless the question is, if he has the 2025 license and it got actually paid for and it was accepted on the October 20th meeting, would he then be allowed to get the 2026 license even though the ordinance had changed?
Grandfather rule.
I mean, he would.
I don't believe that tobacco licenses are subject to grandfathering because of the fact that the ordinance specifically reads is that it subjects you to all licenses that are issued and all renewals. It applies.
Okay. So if that's the position of the city, then there is no way in his location that he'll get a 2026 license, no matter if he had a 2025 at all. It doesn't even matter, right?
That's my opinion.
Okay.
Scott, I think you had a question, did you? Or not?
I was just going to point out what Ralph just said, that it applies to licenses and renewals. And so it doesn't matter if you had a 2025 license. This application is being considered according to our current ordinance. And our current ordinance wouldn't allow it in this location. So that's what it boils down to as far as I'm concerned.
Did we refund that $100 then right away, or did we keep it to apply to the 26 application that came in on the 6th? We refunded it. Okay, it was refunded. Okay.
With that, I mean, we should kind of have a roll call. Oh, Laura, you had a
Yeah,
question?
I mean, I just want to reiterate again, the proximity that we have to the kindergarten and the daycare there. I mean, you're talking kids from infancy up to kindergarten age, and that's the reason why we put that ordinance into place.
I have one other question I think that's important to ask before we vote on this is, as members of the public are watching this and they're looking at where maybe they purchase their tobacco product, can we remind the public how gas stations are different than these smoke shops? Because I think it might cause some confusion in the community. Because my understanding is the ordinance doesn't apply. That's accurate, right? The ordinance doesn't apply to the gas stations.
That's correct.
Okay. I just think we just need that clarifying point.
And I think it would also be important to remind people that if you're going to do any remodeling, then you need to involve the city building inspector before you do the work, so that you can get licenses all associated. With that, a roll call, please.
Your Honor, would you repeat the
The
motion?
the motion or the resolution is to approve the license. So if you agree with granting a license, you will say yes. If you disagree with granting a license, you will say no. So with that, roll call.
No.
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 The resolution fails. Thank you for your time. There are no bids to award this evening. There are no petitions or communications. On the consent agenda, we have a motion approving the minutes from the December 1 to 2025 City Council meeting and the December 10, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting. Motion approving licenses, an updated version was on your desk. Resolution approving land sale for a portion of the city-owned property located at 2010 West Lincoln Avenue. Resolution declaring equipment from the engineering department as surplus and authorize its disposal. Resolution approving budget adjustments. A resolution authorizing staff to prepare and submit applications to the transportation alternative and carbon reduction programs for pedestrian safety improvements. A resolution authorizing the Heritage Preservation Commission to pursue a Minnesota Historical and Cultural Heritage Grant and submit a letter of intent to the Minnesota Community Ideas Grant Program. Would somebody care to make that resolution?
I will do so.
Thank you, Laurel. Would somebody care to second it?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Scott. With that, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. Mark, you wanted to obviously remove the resolution increasing the city's property/liability deductible from $10,000 per occurrence, $20,000 aggregate, to $25,000 per occurrence to $50,000 aggregate.
Thank you, Your Honor. I agree with that, but I'd like to have more discussion. As we continue to move on with the election of some properties that should be insured or not insured, I've been working with Bill and the insurance agent, and we find out that, yes, the application needs to be uploaded by 12/31. I think the league, based on the most recent email from the league, they say upload your current limits. If you choose to take some properties off, for example, a shed that's worth $5,000, we can do that in January. The reason this is so important is that the league does not give us a prorated discount during the year. So if the premium on a truck was $1,200 and we insured it for 6 months and we sold that truck, they're not going to give us $600 back. So it's very timely that the levy committee continue to review the insurance in efforts to save another $10,000 or $15,000 in premium. The premiums in this particular package has gone from $392,000 to 46,000. Last year it went down, went from a high of 446, we've got it down to 366. We've saved the city some 50, 60,000 bucks. I'm trying to save it again. Not insuring property that's below the deductible or not worth insuring. As Mr. Mortensen said, self-insure. Premium rates are going out of the sky, and we can do a deep dive. We have a short window. I think there's a meeting December 5th. I don't know how fast we can get these changes in.
Okay.
I'm looking for the council's approval to let the levy committee make these decisions on a professional level and then report later, giving us the authority to make those changes. I've been an agent for nearly 50 years. I have more ethics training and advanced insurance training. This is my billywhack. I couldn't fix a motor. I'm not an attorney, and it's been brought out that I'm not an appraiser. But I know the insurance business. I'm asking for that authority from the council.
Your Honor. So why at the last minute we're talking about this? Is this, we just got the policy late, or what's, I mean, you've had the whole summer. I just want to know why the timing.
I started this conversation with the agent in October.
Right. We're just seeing it now, is what I'm saying, is that,
The levy committee's been working on it. I apologize. It was brought up at the last committee of the whole.
I thought we were looking at, if we took all that property in the open off, at a savings of like $8,000, but then we're self-insuring, and our last property in the open claim was $5,000. We think we're going to hit our aggregate deductible for the year, no matter what, and then after that, we pay $1,000 a time. So if we have let's say we have five $10,000 items, if we're self-insuring, we're putting out 50 grand to save 8, where we could be paying $1,000 deductible basically for each of those. So I'm confused on how we're guaranteeing that we're saving the citizens of Fergus money. I think we're increasing our risk to some extent.
In 2023, there was a $67,000 loss in the city. And I didn't divide that out by property, by loss. Fortunately, the city's done a very good job. There's been a couple of big crashes, but like a mower overloading, a wall falling in, or in fact, the bell. I don't think the city should insure a $5,000 shed that's 80 years, I'm exaggerating now, some 100 years old. These items are out in the middle of nowhere, and now, if the council has an issue, let's say we take off 10 items, 20 items, 50 items, and you choose to add them back after we reviewed the list, I would lay odds that the league would allow us. Mr. Rachel's asked why this has taken so long. This is a prime example. We started this conversation in the league, the levy committee in October. I've been working with the agent and Bill. We've attempted to get this done. We've looked at the losses. We've looked at each piece of equipment. We've looked at each vehicle. And when you get to property in the open, there is no clean schedule. Is it a fence? Is it a first base? Is it a dugout? Is it lights? So in one particular case, if you have property in open that's worth $200,000, but let's just say we have 200 $1 deals, it doesn't matter. I'm looking for the authority to move forward on this because it's taken too long. If you wish not to move forward, I'm happy. We'll just let the thing renew as is and spend the other 10 or 15,000 bucks, but that's not why I'm sitting here. Thank you.
So, Mark, I think you're asking, the resolution that's in the packet is actually nothing to do with what Mark is kind of asking.
I'm asking for additional authority.
So
Yes.
I think we should probably take the item that's in the packet and vote on that, and then Mark can make a resolution regarding what he wants. So would somebody care to make offer a resolution regarding the deductible increase?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mark. Would somebody care to second it?
I'll second it.
No, thank you, Scott. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. Now, Mark, would you care to make a resolution regarding,
I would like to make a resolution that the levy committee has the option to review the individual properties on a one-by-one basis to choose to delete them for the 26 renewal. And, you know, and again, I'm not going to put a number value on it. I think Bill and I have looked at it quite hard, but let's say you have a $25,000 nice-looking shed. We're not going to take that off.
We want to clarify what the
threshold you want?
What the resolution is.
The resolution is I want authority, the levy, I'm asking the levy authority to make changes to the property schedule for the 26 renewal.
The tax levy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does somebody care to second that?
No, I'm
Thank you,
trying to
Al.
make a change to the insurance policy.
No, but you want
You
the
wanna do it
tax
through
levy
tax
committee
levy,
to
though.
make the decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I'll second that.
Does it matter?
Yes, it does.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So the other people that are on tax levy, the mayor, is this something that everyone wants?
I think we should actually ask Bill to talk a little bit about what this is actually.
I yield my argument, I'm sorry.
Yep. Did you want to just touch base as to what this entails?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, we do the renewal of the insurance policy every fall. So this is very much our normal time of the season. So we're not running late. We kind of get through the budget and then we finish the renewal. Prior to this time, like Guy Taylor, Dan Gaines, our fleet and facilities manager, they go through the property and equipment to update, make sure we have everything on the list is how we've always done that. You know, what have we added for the year? I did want to point out one other thing too, like Mr. Layton brought up that if, let's say in July, we dispose of something and we pull that off the policy's not adjusted. But you construct something new or you add new equipment, that gets added during the year as well, and then there's no charge for that either during the year. So it's nothing goes on, nothing comes off till the following year. So with this, I've talked with the league, and yes, I'm going to hit submit by December 31st, no matter what you do, because I'm going to get that submitted. And then they did tell me that if we do need to make changes, we could still get them in January if that's the case. So we did look through, Mark and I sat down one day, went through the list of properties and looked at ones, you know, under that 25 or 10,000. We kind of bounced between some of those, looking at property in the open kind of things. And I came up with an estimate of the existing premiums of about $8,000 some is what we looked at under that scenario. So that's kind of where we left that off. So I don't know, Mayor, am I answering your question or?
And may I add, we've not had a clean list of property in open.
Well, and our property in the open is listed just as that. So you look at X Park, it's, you know, it has the playground equipment, it has the fencing and whatnot. And we certainly know what's in there. We haven't sat down and gone through it. For instance, I'm going to look at Guy Taylor. He knows what's in that property in the open number because you've probably put it on the schedule. Is that a fair statement? So, I mean, it's not we just haven't sat down and with pictures and said, okay, here's what in each one. But city staff has done that over the last 25 years, say, as something was added. I mean, it was very specific. Or the lights around Lake Alice, when those new ones were put in, or up at the Regional Treatment Center, they were added when it was constructed as property in the open.
Mr. Sonmore, just a couple questions for you. I am not an insurance individual. In fact, I'm just hope that my premiums are paid on time. But what, and this might be the mayor that has to answer this, this tax levy committee is going to carry the same individuals into 2026 here that we had in 2025. Is that correct, Your Honor?
Not necessarily so.
Okay. Okay, not necessarily so. Okay.
But Mr. Layton, yes.
I didn't know if tonight was his last night on it or what the deal was.
I don't care anymore, yeah.
Yeah, but, so I think I've listened to you speak and I've listened to you talk about this, and I haven't heard a lot of concern out of you looking at some of these things, going through it with that tax levy committee. Am I reading you right about, hey, we can dig into this, we can look into this, because we can change it at any time going forward with the same people. Is that correct?
Well, I'll work through whatever we need to do. That is no problem. So I'm not concerned about that. Whatever direction you want to go, we're going to go through and we can march through that. I will say, if we're going to go through and remove equipment, we will do that probably within the first 2 weeks of January. We're not going to push that out so we would miss those premium savings if that's what you wanted to do.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Mr. Sonmar. Are you
Okay.
comfortable going forward with what Mr. Layton proposes?
You know, I'm a little uncomfortable. You're not surprised to hear me say that. I'm conservative about this. Obviously, I've done the renewal for probably the last 25 years, so in my mind, I always insure everything. So that's a new way of thinking. That's okay to have a new way of thinking, but I'm a little more conservative where I don't like losses. I like to know we're covered, so that's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So, John, if we had these buildings still insured and they got damaged or destroyed, that would go against our deductible. Is that not true? 5,000, 10,000, whatever they are. So our deductible add up, and then we get to the $1,000 plateau, right? So if we take them away, we don't have them adding on our deductible. If they get wrecked, they still don't go against our deductible. So we're kind of like you said, we're to put them at risk, our deductible at risk, and so it'll be slower to achieve it theoretically. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And one thing also with our deductible, and we've talked through this, is all parts of this insurance, so not workers' comp, but the property, liability, auto, so liability, all that is lumped together in one deductible. So it's not separate deductibles, like you don't have 50 on property and 50 on liability. Those feed into the same deductible, so.
If we have, let's say a storm comes through that's not a FEMA level storm, so we don't get FEMA help to come pay for redoing parks, and we all of a sudden have to replace everything at Broadway Park, and it's in property in the open and it's not insured, where do we as a council go to take that money? Where does that come from? Or what would your recommendation be?
Okay, so if it's not insured and if we have, then we decide, are you going to replace it? I mean, obviously, we would clean up no matter what, so we'd have that cost. Then you would decide, what are we going to replace and what are those costs? Would we save in some other budget areas and say, stop spending in this area, we have to fix this and we're going to reprioritize that from some of our, say, accumulated capital outlay that we do in various, departments. If you didn't have enough there and if you were going to go forward and fix that, then we would dip into our fund balance, which of course we want to manage our fund balances, when we talk through that through the audit process, but cities, you want X dollars at the end of the year because our major funding sources, property tax levies and local government aid, come in twice a year. So they come in the summer. So we always say this to the state auditor too. Cities need money at the end of the year to cash flow for that 6 months. So we would look at that and with our fund balance policy too. So.
And Your Honor, may I add, let's not forget we have the dividend balance that we were going to use, some 250,000.
220 some, I believe, is what's in that.
You had a question?
Well, I think another way to phrase Laurel's question is, do we have a insurance fund? Because if the question is, how are we going to pay for something that we're not insuring, well, then do we have this dedicated amount that's kind of for that purpose, or do we end up having to just go to our general fund and go through the whole list of things that you just said?
If it's things we're not insuring, I would say that's like our general fund or the department that happens, it would be those fund balances. Mr. Layton brought up, we have accumulated some insurance dividends. We get some dividends back, and I know I emailed out to you, the council, some of those comparisons, and then added what dividends we've received for property liability. So you can see that on the bottom of that. Between that and some workers' comp dividends, we haven't received a whole lot in the last few years, maybe 30-some thousand, is how we got to that, like 227 or 229,000 we have in a balance that we would be using towards paying those deductibles, because in the 26 budget, we reduced the insurance budget, so we brought those expenses down. We did not add into budgets to cover the deductibles we'll have to pay. So we would have to take those out of those funds that are accumulated, sitting in, it's called a contingency reserve fund. If you're a geek like me, it's Fund 879, because I know the numbers better than the words. But in the audit report, we're just being honest here. In the audit report, this is way too much information, but we combine that with the general fund. So if you were going to look on our audit report, that is combined, and that's according to accounting standards, but in our records, we separate those into those separate funds, so, sorry, more than you wanted to know.
Mike?
Mr. Sonmore, I know now how my patients look at me with a blank look when we're looking at an MRI or we're looking at something because you're way over my head. Mr. Layton's way over my head. But the thing is, I trust you and I trust the levy and I trust Mr. Layton. And if this is something, he's in that business and you're not totally opposed to it, I wouldn't be opposed to trying it for a year. It comes down to risk. In your business, I either insure something that I have for $5 million or $100,000. Some years you're going to use all of your insurance money and your deductible really paid off. Some years you're not. It just comes down to that. We have no idea. So I'm willing to look at it for a year. I'm going to vote yes to go forward with it on my end.
I think, Laurel asked earlier, obviously the members of the tax levy committee, I think, as Councilmember Morton's saying, it's about risk and reward. And, I look at it, I would say that if we're only going to save $8,000, I would question the validity at this point in time. We've raised the deductible, from 25 to 50. I think, we've made one move. I would sooner rather take the time in the next year of 26 and actually go through this list more extensively and then see whether or not, it's there to take things out in the future. That would be my opinion, rather than trying to hastily put it together between now and essentially the 31st of December. And I would agree with Mr. Layton that, it isn't like we've not been working on it. We've been working on insurance. We've taken a lot of positive steps with our insurance program, and I think there's more to be made. And I think, for me, I would sooner rather do this more diligently with time as opposed to being pressurized to try to take things off, because it may only be, a lamp, that's worth, because when it got put in, it might have been worth X thousand, but to replace it, it's more expensive, and we could soon eat up, the $8,000 that we potentially are saving. So I don't know whether Laura, you've got anything to add?
Yeah, I would agree to that. Take the time to go through it instead of trying to take, a week and a half with holidays to get this done. And it's definitely been something that Councilmember Layton has been working on for a couple of months. So, yeah, I would agree with that.
So, as I would say, push this to the 2026 tax levy committee rather than the 2025 tax levy committee, and try to force a decision this December.
I agree, Your Honor, if you don't mind. Bill has been, I've sat in his office and, listened to all the stuff that's kind of going on. He's been working really hard on this whole budget thing. He's worked his butt off. And he needs some time off. He needs to use up some time off. And so I agree to go to 26 and work on it. And then the next stage of our life in this council is the audit. And when does that start, Bill?
Well,
January 1st?
We'll start working in January.
In January, yeah. So I mean, it's easier for us to sit here and say, yeah, Bill and Mark can work on that, but Mark has more time than Bill does, because Bill's got to start working on that audit, and that's very important too, so. And so I'm gonna go for the 26 season.
The resolution on the floor is to obviously allow the tax levy committee to work on reviewing P&I items for getting this back to the council by the 31st of December.
Let me finalize this. Last year, 24, if you were to take the total losses divided by the number of losses, that average loss was $2,100. And don't hang your hat on just 10 grand. This very well could be more than 10 grand. So if you save 10 grand or 20 grand, you ask where the money's going to come from for that little shed. You saved 20 grand. Now, if it's not this committee's appetite, so be it. It's not that difficult to get this property and open schedule in front of myself, pass it to the levy committee, and get this thing done. But if this council doesn't want to save the taxpayer money and doesn't want to use
I don't think that's a fair thing.
I think so.
That's not
No.
fair.
No.
That's not fair.
All right.
You could equally say, does this council not want to take risk, and is that prudent to the taxpayers? So with
I
that,
think it would be prudent.
roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
No.
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 The resolution fails. So we will ensure everything as is with the deductible. The next item on the agenda is a second reading of Ordinance 75, 8th Series, vacation of Main Street and Oakland Avenue. I believe that is a roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is a resolution approving a policy to maintain a fund balance of $100,000 or 200% of the deductible per year. Would somebody care to make that?
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Laurel.
second
Thank you, Scott. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is a presentation of claims in the amount of $1,846,889.30. If somebody would care to make that resolution.
I'll offer the resolution to pay the bills.
Thank you, Jim. Would somebody care to second it?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. A roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. Under old and unfinished business, the next item is Shop with a Hero program review, and we'll call upon Justin Paul to give us an update.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Tonight I would like to give you an update regarding our 2025 Shop with a Hero event, both events that were held on Wednesday at Fleet Farm and Thursday at Walmart. Shop with a Hero has been an annual event since at least 2014, where a hero, could be a police officer or a firefighter, is partnered with a child to assist them in shopping for their family and picking out a gift or two for themselves. Now, this hero could be a police officer, could be a firefighter, a sheriff's deputy, a chief deputy running for sheriff, a conservation officer, or a Minnesota State Patrol trooper. It could even be a 7'1" trooper by the name of Christian, which when I saw him from a distance, I thought that he was walking on stilts. But as he got closer, I quickly realized that that was not the case. Now, each child is given a $100 gift card to spend, and of course, there are the occasional over-budget shopping trips when the officers don't quite, they want to play Santa, so they don't hold the line on that $100. And funds are also used to purchase gifts for the Salvation Army to provide for their families in need. Now, during my interview for the police chief position here, I spoke about some of my foundational priorities for the Fergus Falls Police Department. One of those was officer health and wellness, taking care of those who take care of us. And another was community engagement, and that's supporting those who support us. So Shop with a Hero is a special event that blends both of those priorities together. A component of officer health and wellness is purpose and self-transcendence, being part of something bigger than yourself. Shop with a Hero provides a sense of purpose and self-transcendence. Another component of officer wellness is promoting officer resiliency. Officer resiliency is strengthened with gratitude. Every hero that assisted felt gratitude for the life that they live and being able to help someone less fortunate. It warms your heart to know that you played a part in helping another family celebrate a Merry Christmas. A community is stronger when those that are less fortunate are given a helping hand from those that are in a position to do so. And volunteerism is just plain good for the soul. It is absolutely heartwarming to see the children glowing with excitement and energy as they are partnered up with a hero. As my first time involved in this, I was blown away by the number of heroes that participated. Now, from a Fergus Falls departmental perspective, we have a total of 23 officers on our department. That's 22 full-time and 1 part-time. 17 of those participated in one or both of these Shop with a Hero events. Now, remember, we have 3 officers that are working 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., so they need to be home getting their sleep, and a couple officers that needed to be available to handle calls in the city during that event. We also had 1 detective who was at an Internet Crimes Against Children training. But no community engagement effort is successful without the support of the community. The Fergus Falls community is incredibly generous towards the Shop with a Hero. This year we spent nearly $9,000 on Shop with a Hero. Throughout the year we received donations from a Walmart grant, First Lutheran Church, First Lutheran Church Foundation, North Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Pelican Rapids, and Hope Evangelical, along with a host of donations from residents in this community. And that does not include the random citizen shoppers that saw us at Fleet Farm and Walmart who on the spot donated to fund the cause. So a big thank you to the generous donors here. Also, no community engagement event is successful without the one who leads the organizing of it. Our administrative assistant, Shannon Riggle, is the heart and soul behind Shop with a Hero. Now, if you know Shannon well enough, you already know, and I learned this very quickly in my short time here, that Shannon does not do anything halfway. She puts 110% effort into every task she performs. Shannon spends hours making phone calls, organizing, maintaining relationships, documenting donations, and recording expenditures. Shannon is a tireless worker who has also had to endure a reschedule because the weather came in, so we moved it from Tuesday to Wednesday. I saw Shannon's face lit up with excitement to see another successful event come together. And I overheard an officer say that this is Shannon's Super Bowl. And lastly, you would think that the police chief would be the star celebrity of Shop with a Hero. But rock star celebrity status for Shop with a Hero is actually the elementary school's school resource officer, Dustin Kitzman. All these kids wanted to be partnered with him. Officer Kitzman plays such an integral role in the relationship between the elementary schools and the police department. And I do not know of any other community that has an SRO in the elementary schools. But thanks to the support of this city council, this position has continued to be funded 100% by the city. So thank you, Mayor and Council, for your support of community engagement events like Shop with a Hero that lifts the holiday cheer for all citizens of our great community. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Justin. The next item was an update on Visit Fergus Falls from myself and Laura, and I kind of just typed out a quick memo for you guys to give you something to read post this, but as a little background, the Fergus Falls Visitor and Convention Bureau is known locally as Visit Fergus Falls. Visit Fergus Falls is an organization funded by the collection of lodging tax at 3% on hotel stays. It is collected by the varied establishments, and then it's remitted to the city, who in then turn passes it over to Visit Fergus Falls. It's permitted under Minnesota Statute 469.190 to fund a local convention or tourism bureau for the purpose of marketing the city or town as a tourist or convention center. On the 20th of October this year, the council terminated the contract as of the 31st of December, and part of that was to increase the administrative cost from 3% to 5%, but also to kind of review some of the marketing strategies. You know, the Bigwood Convention Center, whilst previously was managed and organized by the hotel ownership, that agreement was ended just before COVID. Since that time, it has been managed by city staff. As a primary source of revenues comes from room rentals, this has led to the city subsidizing operational expenses in general around $150,000 a year. What the city would like to see is a renewed campaign to uplift the marketing and outreach of the convention center to rent more space annually. We're not looking to directly subsidize the operating loss of the convention center with lodging tax dollars. For one, it's not permissible under the statute, but in two, we want to see an increase in occupancy. Currently, Visit Fergus Falls sits with around $240,000 in unrestricted funds as of September. What we are looking for is a stronger partnership. The goal is to have a stronger marketing effort towards filling the convention meeting room space in the community, not just necessarily the big word, as all occupied rooms mean visitors to Fergus Falls. The short-term goal of the negotiation is to update the Bigwood website as it needs modernization, and that was kind of highlighted by the director of Visit Fergus Falls saying it was quite poor. We want to launch a marketing campaign that equally supports tourism as well as conventions. And we want to increase community awareness of marketing campaigns with quarterly reviews at council meetings and support community events that attract visitors to Fergus Falls, such as Over the River that happened this weekend. You know, despite the cold, extreme cold, you know, there was still actually people turned up for that. And they're not all from Fergus Falls. They come from the community. We are behind the 8 ball, and what we are asking this evening of the council would be to extend the agreement to 60 days to allow this meeting group to come back with a draft to the city council for their approval. And because we haven't basically got it done. We've been going round and round, and I think we had a good meeting on Thursday with the group. We've met 3 times, and I think Thursday, you know, we made progress. And so we're looking to ask the council this evening if we could extend the contract by 60 days, on the assumption that we're not going to get a lot accomplished between now and the 31st of December. And then, you know, obviously, we'll be going to the city attorney to draft a contract and then get it back in front of you for you guys to make a decision on. So, Laura, have you got anything to add to this?
Yeah, there was a Visit Fergus Falls meeting today, and there was good discussion on how to move forward, what obstacles they could foresee. And so I am going to expect that we have some information from them within a couple of weeks as to what are some pieces of this that they're going to be able to do, and kind of go from there.
Are you going to make that motion then?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. But my suggestion is, are you wanting to have the council take affirmative action now? Because we don't have another meeting.
Correct.
So my suggestion would be to authorize a resolution for the purpose of either amending the notice of termination to allow or extend the termination notice by 60 days, or enter into a temporary agreement for the next 60 days. I can't remember the language that I used in the notice of termination, but I think it allows us to extend the notice of termination, and that's probably what I will do. But the resolution is to authorize the mayor and city administrator to sign an agreement with Visit Fergus Falls that will extend it by 60 days.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Scott.
Second that.
Thank you, Scott.
And then this 3% amount is essentially what would continue for 60 days. That's
Yeah.
really the main thing,
Right.
right? Yeah, we're not losing anything on that.
Your Honor, go ahead.
Before you go.
No.
Your Honor, my question is, I've asked Laura this before, when Visit Fergus Falls gets the money, they're supposed to spend it on Visit Fergus Falls. And they have this huge savings account, and I know you have to have some sort of savings account to operate with. But I guess I'd like to know an explanation why what they're saving for. Is there some reason they're saving? Maybe there's something they're saving it for, but you get it every year. I thought this is to spend back on our city to make our people visit our city. Now, with the huge construction project we got coming up next year, you would be on that. I would think they'd be trying to push that we're still here, we're still open for business, even though it's going to be closed. There are different ways of making it. So I think I'd like to know an explanation back. And it's hard to say why they have a big savings account, because it's not supposed to be a big savings account. It's supposed to be sticking the money back into visiting Fergus Falls, advertise, whatever they want to do it. So kind of my question.
Yeah, when we had a meeting with the mayor, myself, and a few of their board members. One of them did comment that they have been maybe too conservative with their spending. And so that's definitely something that moving forward, I mean, it can be something that we can further discuss.
I think, one of the goals was that, like this year, essentially where, as citizens of Fergus Falls, we are basically subsidizing the Bigwood to the tune of $160,000. The Visit Fergus Falls is sitting with a chunk of money in an account that, granted it's accumulating some interest, but it's not collected with the purpose of a savings. It's collected with the purpose of promoting the city of Fergus Falls for tourism and convention. And you bring up a good point about Trunk Highway 210. This is a year when, in fact, we should be trying to fill every meeting space available in the city to get those people off the interstate and into Fergus Falls. And so I think, what we're trying to do is encourage and solicit through kind of obviously the agreement that they will spend some money on marketing, not just of the city of Fergus Falls, but also to promote conventions equally. Because the statute is very clear, it's tourism and convention. Laurel, then Mike.
Go ahead.
Mike, you go.
Well, Your Honor, I appreciate that. There's some short-term goals you put out here, update the Bigwood website, launch marketing campaigns. Are those, Mrs. Job, in your goals, or were those goals that came from the Visit Fergus Falls? Are those are your goals you're looking for with them? And then, is that correct?
Yeah, I would say.
It's kind of a starting point.
Okay. And then they're going to come back to something to you two guys that'll come back to the council to look broadly and say, yes, we give you the thumbs up or not, or we can switch it a little bit in that end. Do we have anybody other than Visit Fergus Falls, which is their group, and you and Mrs. Job working on this? Not that you guys are not competent at doing this, but do we have any outside entities like our economic development director? We got other people involved that have done things in other communities maybe that could say, hey, this is maybe what we've seen successful?
I haven't asked James about it, but I can. And
Okay.
I'm meeting him tomorrow.
Yeah.
It just is whether he's got any insight.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he will have done or not. But the goal was to get a marketing proposal back, so that there's something to, look at and equally have some accountability in this, that, we're going to do this campaign of marketing. And it will also mean that there's some accountability to the Bigwood and the staff at the Bigwood, because, obviously, this is marketing, not sales. Sales would be that translation of that inquiry into a commitment. And so I think as this council is generally, we're looking for that, overall accountability of things that happen with the citizens' money. I mean, the great thing about this program is that this tax dollar is collected from out-of-town people in the main. I'm not saying there's not a few Fergus residents don't stay at the hotel, but then, the city has the luxury of being able to spend this on promotion of the city, for tourism and convention. And we want to make sure that we're using that money. And like, obviously, the financial prudency comes in, that we should maintain, obviously, a reserve balance for, like this year, hotel tax revenue is going to be down. 26 it'll be down because of the construction, because the off the interstate, traffic is going to slow down. And I think, what we're looking for is basically, to have a stronger partnership than perhaps we currently have.
And I agree with that totally, and I look forward to what you and Mrs. Joe bring back to the council. One of the things that I would probably stress, that some of that $240,000 goes into to be used this year, if you could, a percentage of that, whether you're going to go at 20%, 30%, but something to dig into some of that so we can make an impact if we could.
Yeah, thank you. Laurel?
I guess my question kind of echoes what these two have asked too. I would, most entities like this in their bylaws might call out how much of a reserve should be kept. Is that the case in this situation or not?
There is I think it's 40,000.
So we're about 200,000 over that?
They currently have about 277.
So we're 240,000 over. So in my mind, I would like to see like a marketing proposal come back to us with an agreement so we know what we're signing up for, to know that that money is going to get spent. Interest is great, but we could be making more money than the interest is being made in that account in my mind. And I also think when we're doing this agreement, it's important to look at other events that we need to make sure are included, that they know it's about marketing Fergus. Like I think about Lori sitting here with her car event. I mean, they need to know that it's about more than heads in beds. And I think that we need to make sure that's very clear in this agreement, because tourism in Fergus is more than hotels.
So,
Your Honor?
yep.
I think it would be nice also to have them come before us and give a report. It's been a long time since they've been here to give us a report
And
on
that-
what's going on.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we put in there, that, you know, there should be a quarterly coming to the council to give an update on, obviously, what's been accomplished and, you know, what the future plans are.
I don't remember the last time they were here. It's been quite a while.
Can I ask one quick question? Did they spend all their marketing money this year? Or do we have, are we spending the budget or are we not?
I don't.
I
know.
don't believe so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. With that, roll call, please.
May I interject?
Yep.
Maybe I'm not welcome to interject.
You never are, so don't worry about it.
Visit Fergus Falls. What have they done? What have they done for the city? At this point, we want to vote. I'm going to vote no. I want it to be voted no now, and then develop that, if you will, new agreement in '26. I don't think anything is going to change with their operation in the next 3 months, whatever you go, 30, 60, 90 days. So let's put a stop to it, redevelop what we want to do moving forward in '26. And again, I yield the floor to Laura Mullen.
Laurie?
Lori Mullen, Fergus Falls. We need Visit Fergus Falls. We do. And Rolando's been, from my aspect, has been wonderful to work with. Just like I said at one of the town hall meetings, we need to be creating those opportunities for families to create community and to have memories that they share with their kids. That's all going to start with an entity like Visit Fergus Falls. I've been involved with a lot of different events in Fergus, and this is not on Rolando at all. I guess there were times when we called or requested funding for advertising different things, and quite honestly, it would have been for Summerfest. And at that time, it was a different person at the helm there. But one of the things that they told us was it was the heads in beds. And no, it's about bringing people to Fergus to visit our shops, no matter how far they are. People will drive 2 hours to spend the day someplace and then turn around and go home. It's still bringing dollars into our community. I think that we need to continue with Visit Fergus Falls and extend the contract. And they're going to be an important piece. The other thing that I had mentioned to some people before was there's other larger communities that have tourism districts, and Minneapolis has one. I don't know if that's something that the city would want to take a look at as well. Are we able to collect more than 5% on a tourism district? I don't know those answers, but just some things to think about when you're moving forward with this.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, this is for a 60-day extension?
Correct.
Okay. I guess if I was somebody from the Convention and Visitors Bureau or Visit Fergus Falls, it would have been nice to see somebody here if I knew I was going to be talked about or my group was going to be spoke about. And I guess I'm a little bit disappointed in that regard that none of those people are here. because that would be the time to speak up and to voice what you're doing or what you're not doing. I understand what Mark says. I'll vote yes for it for 60 days. But I think it's a very telling that there's nobody here. And I find that disappointing.
I'm going to just make one more comment. I'm on the Summerfest committee. Summerfest is going to be 50 years old. We have Johnny Holmes scheduled this year. We start advertising and we start working with Rolando on that in January. So all this Minnesota tourism to get it out there. And we're all learning together. There's things that certainly all of us could have done better before, but it's important that we move forward together.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Well, and to be fair, just to Al's comment, I don't know if they really knew that we were going to be discussing this specifically tonight.
But did you just have a meeting with them
Yep,
today?
Yep, we did. I had to meet virtual. I was not in town. And most of that meeting was really kind of discussion on what our meeting was like on Thursday and things like that. So, yep.
Your Honor, they're not blind to this, are they?
No.
Because I don't want them to be blind to this.
No.
Because then we've done a disservice to them.
Thursday, we talked about coming to the council this evening.
So they knew.
To have an extension.
So they knew.
No. So,
One more question, Your Honor. I know we're going to go 60 days. I'm going to support it. I want to get this going. I want to do what's great for Fergus Falls and makes us the best that we can be. What happens if we turn them down in 60 days? Let's just say the council looks at this and says, we can't do this. Where do we go then? I mean, if just so the public knows.
then basically the city obviously would have to make a decision on what they do in terms of marketing for the city and the convention center. And obviously, there would be potential options that we'd have to look at, but obviously it would take a little bit of time to figure out.
Do the residents then have the right, or I say the city, which is the residents, to have that percentage still coming into us as an entity? Is that right, Mr. Bremseth?
Yes, and Your Honor, a step further, all the fund balance would become the city's money as well. It's currently within the city's funds, and we would retain the fund balance.
For the same purpose.
So it is very much in the best interest of the community and the citizens in this community that this council gets with this group to do the best that they can, because it's really their money that we're looking at. Okay, thanks.
Yep. And the goal is to promote and get more people coming to Fergus. So with that, roll call, please.
No.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. We have no new business under miscellaneous announcements. We have some committee vacancies. There's 6 very different committees that seeing Gail in the audience. There's a reminder that the boards like the library, planning commission, heritage, historical, arts, and there's a link on the website for anybody wishing to apply for that. One appeal for the fire department this evening. We've had obviously quite a lot of snow. We'd ask residents if you have a fire hydrant in your yard, if you can take a few extra minutes when clearing snow to clear around that hydrant. You never know when you will need that hydrant, and this is the time of year when there are an increase in residential fires, and so taking the time to clear those would be great, not just for yourself but for your neighbors as well. December 25th, we have holiday closures for the observation of Christmas. Garbage and recycling normally picked up on Thursday will be moved to Wednesday, December 24th. January 1, holiday closure for the observation of New Year's. Garbage and recycling normally picked up on the Thursday will be moved to Wednesday, December 31st. And on January the 5th, we a 2026 council meeting at 5:30. And we are now going to adjourn to a closed meeting to discuss a real estate transaction on Tower Road as allowed by Minnesota Statute 13D.05. And I do not believe the intention is to come back out with any decision.
And
With that-
we don't have any committee of the whole meeting before that next
Correct.
city council meeting?
No.
Thank you.
So with that, this part of the meeting is adjourned.